New Conway restaurant reviews next week, but in the meantime, I went on vacation to New Orleans and you're going to hear about a few days in one of the greatest food cities in the world. Also, shout out to the drunk woman who clumsily hit on me in ways that are not very subtle but also kind of rude. There's something about the way drunk middle-aged women hit on you, like they're trying to simultaneously express that they're trying to get you to screw them, but also that you are very much beneath them and should feel grateful for this opportunity. Well, sorry to disappoint you, Danny, but I'm married, and even if I wasn't, you still wouldn't have a chance, because you're an uninteresting, nasty little shit. No out of 10. Now let's do this shit. Before we get to New Orleans, we first had to drive through Mississippi, and I wanted to make it a point to point out that Mississippi is, by a considerable margin, the worst state in the entire country. I have driven through desolate wastelands like Kansas, Nebraska, and Wyoming, and Mississippi puts all of them to shame. Not just because we saw nothing interesting there, but also because it was all ugly and smelled bad. The most exciting thing we saw driving from one end of the state to the other was a billboard advertising a Lynyrd Skynyrd monument. So the most notable thing we found in Mississippi was a monument for a band known for the song Sweet Home Alabama. If you're from Mississippi, fuck you. You should be ashamed. Your state is so bad it makes Arkansas seem like Paris. 0 out of 10, on to New Orleans. So we get to New Orleans and we're feeling a little peckish. We're not looking for anything too crazy, just a spot to grab a proper meal before we crash, and end up choosing Ernest Cafe. It's a historic saloon that dates back to 1902 and features a mix of casual bar food and some traditional Cajun fare. I was looking forward to some nice down-home cooking and went with the gumbo, which the server recommended. Now, it takes a special kind of gold-plated asshole to visit New Orleans and proclaim, with a straight face, that he can make gumbo better than in New Orleans. Okay, so let me tell you why my gumbo was better than in New Orleans. The core element to a good gumbo is the trinity of vegetables cooked down into a well-made roux. Sure, there are several other ingredients to a gumbo, but this is where the rubber meets the road. If you don't have that, you ain't got shit but a thick chicken soup with some sausage. This gumbo also came with blackened chicken. Now, I'm not opposed to blackened chicken, but these were chicken tenders and they were blackened to the point of being blistered, bitter, and unpleasant. Then they put those ashen tenders on my gumbo and flecks of bitter, burnt seasoning went into the broth. Disgusting. Finally, instead of white rice, this came with dirty rice. Dirty rice is its own dish and doesn't belong here. The beauty of a good gumbo is having the richness of the stew balanced by a nice fluffy white rice. In summary, a lot of bad decisions were made in the construction of this gumbo. It wasn't high quality and didn't taste very good. Also, the wife reported that the crab cake was pretty decent, but the brioche bun was way too big and it needed more sauce. Overall, not a place I would recommend in one of the best food cities in the world. 5 out of 10. Down on Bourbon Street, there's a bunch of these places that have these alcoholic slushy machines with pina coladas, margaritas, hurricanes, daiquiris, and the like. There's also some pizzas that you can order by the slice and they throw it in the oven for you. So in a way, it reminds me of my childhood, going into a slice shop for a slice and a convenience store for a Slurpee. But it's also adult because the ground smells like pee and it's all completely degenerate. The wife and I drunkenly went to this exact spot 10 years ago, and yeah, I'm not afraid to put my face on here, you fucking pussy. 10 years ago, we got a slice and a banana scream, and it was the best kind of terrible. The banana tastes like fake banana flavoring, but there's also this undoubtedly artificial vanilla flavoring that came from a beaver's ass. Look it up. But also somehow combines with a banana and tastes magical. I can't explain it, or maybe the alcohol can, but it, along with a slice of pepperoni, were just as good as we remember. But then I went to pay for it, and when the gentleman said that a slice of pizza and a single small drink was $30, my jaw about hit the fucking floor. And for good measure, when I asked for a water, hoping to just get, a cup of some water, the guy threw a $5 bottle of water on the bill. 10 years ago, you could add a shot of 151 to your drink for $1. Now it's just piece of shit vibes from these places. So unless you already have some kind of nostalgia for it, I wouldn't recommend it. Fuck them out of 10. Speaking of nostalgia, 10 years ago, the wife and I happened upon Verdi Mart, a little hole-in-the-wall bodega-looking spot that actually makes a ton of fresh, delicious food and ended up having some of the best sandwiches you could find outside of Philly and Jersey. Their specialty is called All That Jazz, which is a po' boy containing shrimp, ham, turkey, American and Swiss cheese, grilled mushrooms, tomatoes, and is topped with something called wow sauce, which I think is just a mustard aioli. Well, we got it and learned a valuable lesson that would be a major theme for this trip. The first is that while 10 years ago we were each each able to put one of these bad boys down. Now we can maybe get a little more than halfway through one before we need to stop and take a nap. The other lesson is that, well, sometimes less is decidedly more. Don't get me wrong, this is still a great sandwich. In fact, the freshly sliced oven-roasted ham shines in this baby. But 2 kinds of cheese and a creamy sauce means that every bite you can feel your blood turning to butter. Still definitely recommend seeking this place out though. It's a ways down and a right turn away from Bourbon Street. A true gem hidden in hell. 8 out of 10. So we stayed at the Fontenot, and for those of you traveling, I cannot stress enough how throwing a few extra dollars on a hotel room can make all the difference in your experience. The Fontenot is a spectacularly gorgeous hotel, with a top-tier cafe in the lobby, and is staffed by people who genuinely seem invested in you having an incredible and relaxing vacation. Okay, now let's rip their restaurants to shreds. The Peacock Room is a visually stunning dining room that looks and feels like something out of The Great Gatsby. After destroying our stomachs for 2 days, we went there and got a selection of small plates. And this might be the fanciest review ever on this channel. But if you can't afford fine dining, you can take comfort in the fact that the extra money people spend is for words, not better food. We got the pork cracklings, which are pork rinds that taste exactly like pork rinds you can get at any gas station, only more expensive. We got the smoked fish dip with house-made crackers, which means that it's fish that smells like smoke, but you can't taste it because it simply doesn't transfer into fish. The house-made crackers didn't taste any better than Ritz factory-made crackers, so we just overpaid for a Bumblebee snack pack. We got the Parmesan truffle fries that didn't taste anything like truffle, but the garlic aioli was pretty good, I guess. So again, we overpaid for something you could get at a Red Robin. Then we went over to the King Brasserie for a drink and a dessert. I ordered some signature cocktail and watched the bartender go into the back, come out with what looked like a goddamn chemistry set, and proceeded to Beekman's World a bunch of shit together for 5 minutes before placing a drink in front of me, putting some kind of bamboo tent over it, apply some sawdust to it, light it with a blowtorch, and present it to me with a waft of smoke. Then I took a sip of it, and you know what it tasted like? Booze. It tasted just like booze. Fuck you, man. You're not a rocket scientist. I've bartended before. It involves pouring booze into glasses and handing them to people. And this is why I hate fine dining. If you can't afford shit like this, at least take solace in the fact that you aren't dumb enough to pay for it like I did. 0 out of 10. On Sunday, my Eagles squeaked out a dramatic win against the New Orleans Saints, and yes, I'm going to review an NFL stadium. The Caesars Superdome is an absolutely gorgeous arena, and given how blazingly hot it was, we were happy to be indoors. Though I will say that they have the absolute worst taste in music, as they proceeded to try and pump up the home crowd by playing Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, Breaking Benjamin, and several other frankly embarrassing bands. It was absolutely disgusting, and Saints fans should be profoundly ashamed. And speaking of embarrassed, while the stadium was incredibly loud, Saints fans are remarkably stupid because they were screaming their lungs out on 3rd down when the offense was on the field. Typically, that's something you do when the other team's offense is out there, but apparently Saints fans like to make it difficult for their own team. Now, us Eagles fans travel well, but even I wasn't expecting anything like this. There was a sea of green, and at one point, the deafening sound of rabid birds enjoyers caused the Saints to have to burn a timeout in their own stadium. Which, holy shit, how embarrassing is that? I don't normally enjoy shit talk, but after Saints tackle Christian Boyd, cheap shot in my boy Smitty, and then spit on him while he was laying unconscious on the turf, fuck the Saints and fuck their fans. Nice stadium though, 7 out of 10. One last dip down to Bourbon Street to check out NOLA PoBoys because I hadn't gotten to try any red beans and rice, and also I heard tale of something called debris fries. Now, I love me some good red beans and rice and know from experience that it doesn't get any better than in New Orleans, just not here. The beans had good flavor and seasoning, but were gritty and unpleasant to eat. The star of the show here was the debris fries, because they are simultaneously stunning and delicious, but also feel as much like dying as any food can. I'm talking you have to take every bite slowly, cautiously, because you aren't sure if you're going to survive to the next one. It is shockingly rich and decadent and uglier than a $20 whore. If you're young and drunk, I honestly can't imagine a better way to soak up all the alcohol in your bloodstream. But if you're a little older, tackling debris fries is a reminder of one's mortality. A gastronomic tap on the shoulder that you aren't as young and spry and resilient as you once were. But before we left NOLA PoBoys, I went to rock a piss in the back, and on my way out I saw 2 cockroaches scurry across the floor. And what made that surreal was that this was right in front of several diners, none of whom seemed to notice or care. It was kind of a watershed moment for my New Orleans experience. It is a place of gorgeous scenery and breathtaking architecture, but it is also actively crumbling. It is held together by leaky pipes and duct tape, falling apart, sinking into the swamp. Only no one seems to really care so long as they can still get their sloppy debris fries and drink their cares and savings away. It is the epitome of beauty and ugliness rolled into one. And at a certain age, the veil that keeps you from seeing the darkness as you watch everything slip into the sea salt funk of the Gulf recedes.